Let's move here to the last caller. And I believe this is a guy from the Philly area. Is that right, Van Who? You're up next, or last.
New York.
Oh, New York, but you play at Parks. I know that Michael G, moderator extraordinaire, played with you recently, right?
He did.
Yes. Michael G. All right, where are you playing out of here?
This is a 9-handed 1-3 match the stack out of the Soho Poker Club in Lower Manhattan.
Oh, wow. Oh, I remember. Van, you call a lot of these. So you're not really you play a lot of these underground games, huh?
I do.
And remember, I had to ask you, I'm like, does a game go like in every borough? And then I realized how big New York is. It probably does, right? Like
It does.
every night. Yeah. So 9-hand, I'm sure the rake is pretty high in these games too.
This one's actually the best deal. For the 1-3, they'll do 10% up to 20, and they'll take $1 for some promotional prizes they do.
So it's a match the stack. So does it get pretty deep?
This one got deep. So Hero was 2.8 behind, and the effective stack is 1050.
So 1050 effective, 1-3. Any straddle or anything like that?
No straddle.
Okay.
But it had just converted from 1-3 to match the stack.
Oh, to a capped from a match the stack, like a cap buy-in?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
So Undergun folds, Hero in Under the Gun 1 has Ace of Clubs, Ace of Hearts.
Okay.
And we bet 30.
Raised to 30, straight at 1-3.
Yeah, because typically I've noticed the match the stack plays more like a 2-5, and my standard open on a 2-5 is going to be around 30 in the early positions.
Wow. Well, that's great. I mean, it's great if you can get the action, right?
Yeah.
And again, I always tell people you don't see these types of like huge pre-flop raises to 10x standard even in live games. But, if you're playing 1-2, you might see people open to 15, and you can it's boring as fuck, but you could short stack a game where people are opening at 10x and absolutely print money, because poker in essence is a battle of the blinds. So when someone's raising to an amount that's 10x, they're risking too much to win the blind. So you could literally just sit there and play like the best hands, and you would obviously print money. Now, I'm not saying that you're necessarily doing anything wrong, Van Who, if you're getting the action, if this is the standard open size. I'm just talking about how people can profitably short stack. Although I will say, I don't even know if I've ever seen a good short stacker in live poker, like literally ever.
Yeah, me neither.
So, all right. So you go to 30.
Yep.
Yep.
UTG2, who's our villain, calls.
Okay.
And we get it heads up.
So you just heads up between +1 and +2.
Yeah, so pretty tight configuration.
So like $60, right? In the pot.
Yeah, we'll say 60.
Okay. Yep. Okay.
Flop is 10 of diamonds, 9 of spades, 5 of clubs.
10 of diamonds, 9 of spades, 5 of clubs. Okay.
So here, I think we want to use a larger sizing just to get the most value we can. So Hero bets 50.
So this one is a little bit on the in-between side here, as opposed to like the 2 flush Broadway boards. You get the King Jack 3, 2 suits, unblock the king, Queen 10x, 2 suit, Ted to go for a little bit larger sizing. This one is a middling board, no flush draw, but there's a lot of straight draws on the top end side that people will play, like Queen Jack, King Jack, things like that. You're, really only one credible combination of 2 pair that someone's going to VPIP, which would be like 10-9. And the pot's small in the sense of like, I always say, like, when the pot is smaller in an absolute sense, the percentage of the bet means less than the actual size. So, if it gets limped around in a 1-3 game and the pot is like $15 and you come out and bet 15, that's just like a normal bet as opposed to like 100% pot. Now, and then it goes the opposite way as the pot gets bigger. All of a sudden, if the pot's 2,000 in a 1-3 game and someone bets 1,000, you better believe that's a stronger range than what would typically be like a half pot size bet. So
I agree.
So you bet 50. Okay.
Yep. Villain calls.
So plus, what's the deal with this guy?
I don't know. Literally, he just sat, not one of the regulars, about 30s, Caucasian male. No info on him.
Okay.
So the turn is the King of Hearts.
King of Hearts, which of course now brings in Queen Jack. And it's bad for you in the sense that now the hands that were sort of in the kind of the hands that were like top pair and middle pair on the flop become much, much weaker, and it's much harder to get a call now. So like Jack 10, even like Ace 10 here, something like 9, 8. Now Jack, so all those hands a lot of times will just fold off here because of the fact that, someone's like, well, maybe he was betting Ace King and, now he got there, right? Now, King Queen and King Jack are gut shots on the flop that now are paired on the turn. It's a home game in Soho. He might have a full allotment of Queen Jack here. Full allotment of Queen Jack. You also have King 10 and King 9. I might check here and then just bet the river if he checks behind on bricks. I suppose you could also make a case for bet. I suppose if you bet again and he raises you, you could probably just sort of easily fold. I just, again, like the flop, the made hand portion of his flop calling range really collapses now on the turn. And I don't know if you can get really that much more value from it. With that being said, I guess Jack 10 and Queen 10 are now gut shots. They pick up gut shots here too. So maybe you could kind of go with a little bit of a smaller sizing here if you wanted to bet to kind of like respect. So check or smaller sizing. So this is not one of these ones where it's like 9-5 deuce, turns a king, we can use overbet size. This does not fall into that category because the king completes the Queen Jack. So what did you do?
Hero bets 100.
Okay, so you probably went a little bit larger than I would have gone. Okay.
And villain calls.
Now, the thing about poker nowadays, as opposed to back when I started, back in 2005, was that nobody really knew how to read hands, and like you would get raised off here if like he made kings up. Almost always. You'd face a raise. Or they would raise a set now if they were slow playing. Now people are, I mean, it's still a 1-3 game, right? And it may happen. People tend to be a little bit more aware here. So you're not just seeing like King 10 just blindly raise off when Queen Jack completes. So sure, they might raise at some frequency. I would say you're favored to be ahead here with him just calling, but you're not always ahead just because he calls, is my point.
Yeah. And I was thinking the same thing in game.
So 10 of diamonds, 9 of spades, 5 of clubs turns the King of Hearts. It's a total rainbow board. Okay.
Yep. So the river is a 3 of spades.
3 of spades. So 10, 9, 5, king, 10, 9, 5, king, 3. Okay.
What would you do here?
Well, I mean, if I think that if I go back to what I just said, where I think you're favored to be ahead here on the turn, I probably would bet the river. Now, the one thing that you have to understand though about that is that part of the range that you're favored to be ahead of might consist of some Jack 10 and Queen 10 that we can't get value from now at the end. So it's probably pretty close in the sense that you're going to get value from get a call from like the one paired king, right? King, Queen, and King Jack. Probably not going to get a call from like the Queen 10 or Jack 10 unless you size really, really small. So maybe using pseudo blocking sizing here would be the play. Now, what's interesting here is that if you think that your hand is actually not strong enough to bet for value here, then it is logical to actually say that the river should be a check fold to somewhat not like tiny sizing. And what I mean by that is that I would find, so let's say that you decide to check and your opponent bets like 250 here. It's not like I don't think he's betting 250 with like King, Queen, or King, Jack. So you might check call if you think he like busted out on Jack 8 or like 7, 8 as a bluff catcher, but he's not going to be betting something that's worse for value. You follow me, Van Hu, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
So, but in a live game like this, I would still maybe err towards betting here again, because 7-8 and Jack 8 don't always bluff here at the end.
Right. What would be the optimal sizing you'd use?
Well, you bet 100 on the turn, maybe like not much more than that if we want to somehow get some 10x to call. Now, if you were to say that no 10x calls no matter what size you bet and you just want to target a king, then I suppose you could say you could bet larger to get value from a king. But then the question then becomes, if you throw out 10x, like, do you always have the best hand here? Or are you just behind more often? Because remember, it's not the total sum of hands, it's the hands that are going to call. What did you do?
So hero bets 200.
That might be a little bit large here.
Okay.
Again, this is me saying that I want to maybe squeak some value out of 10x, and I don't think 10x is going to call now. Yes, you'll get the call here from King X. That's true. You'll get the call here from King X, and then we just have to go into the weeds of like, well, is he slow playing anything here to the river? If he has all Queen Jacks, that's going to be 16 combos. If he has all King Queens and King Jacks, that's another 18 combos, because there's just one king. Well, yeah, there's just one king accounted for, so it's just 3 times 4, right? Well, yeah, what did I say? 24, right? Yeah, well, it would be 12 combos of King Queen, 12 combos of King Jacks, 24, 16 combos of Queen Jack. We don't know. Does he call with that pre? Does he always call the flop? I mean, you did bet 50 into 60. Does King Jack and King Queen always peel? They probably do.
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, if he's calling with King Jack and King Queen off pre in this configuration, they're probably all peeling. So maybe, I mean, and then Queen Jack is going to raise at some frequency on the turn. So if all King X is going to call for this sizing, maybe now thinking through this, maybe it's not too big. And again, I haven't even looked at the live chat, but from this setup, I can't imagine a guy flatting pre with King Queen or King Jack off, getting to this river and folding. I just don't buy it. I mean, using your sizing. You're not betting like 800 all in. So you bet 200.
Yep. And he doesn't think much and moves all in.
So +2 all in for
At 870
870 total.
Yeah, so 670 for us to call.
So
A little over 2 to 1.
560 plus 870. 560 plus 870 is what, 1430? And it would be 670 to call. I don't know, Van Hu. I mean, if this guy, like, if I fold here and he shows me like Jack 10 or Queen 10, I'm probably just going to kind of tap the table. It probably wouldn't be that bad. I mean, it probably would be a decent bluff to have a Jack or a Queen in your hand. Jack 10 and Queen 10 being those candidates, thinking that the all-in credibly represents Queen Jack, and that it's going to be more of a profitable play than calling the $200 bet. So there is that possibility, but I see it so infrequently that I absolutely overfold one pair hands in these spots.
I think so too. And we look pretty strong, right? Even to a recreational villain, I feel like he would never be bluffing on the spot.
You mean turning a hand into a bluff?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think you have then it sort of answers your question, right? I mean,
Well, yeah.
I mean, and then, so Jack 8 has a Jack in it, right? Which is open-ended. And people might be like, well, couldn't he just do it with Jack 8? Yes, he could. But Jack 10 is slightly better, because then Van Hu has less pocket 10s, which would be like, one of those hands that's up in the range here. So, and then also too, you have aces as opposed to ace king, which is probably worse for you, because now there's more combos of King 10 if you played it this way, right? All the combos of King 10 are available. Did you talk yourself into a call here or something?
I tanked, and do you want the review?
Yeah.
I folded.
Okay. Did you get to see what he had?
No, but right before he racked up, I asked him about the hand, and he said, "I'm surprised you even thought that long." He said he had Queen Jack.
I mean, it makes sense.
I guess.
I guess it takes
I don't know if I ever believe.
well, it takes a real type. It takes a guy that's pretty deep in the levels to actually have like Jack 10 here. And then when you go and ask him as you're racking him up, him to lie about it and say that he has Queen Jack. Thank you for the call.
You're welcome. Thanks,
I
Bart.
appreciate it.